For years and years, I have been warning the whole world about the danger of morality police. Now, because of the brutal death of Masih Alinejad, finally we see a sense of unity among feminists, athletes, celebrities, female politicians, which is beautiful. But it didn't need for teenagers to get killed in Iran for the whole world to wake up.
Hello and welcome to GZERO World. I'm Ian Bremmer, and today we are looking at the most significant protests to rock Iran since the Green Movement back in 2009. Straight since September, young and mostly female demonstrators have filled the streets of most every major city in Iran, from Tehran to Tabriz. Many discarding their headscarves at great personal risk as they protest draconian social rules and restrictions. The backlash from security forces in Iran has been brutal, though except in the Kurdish region, the government has yet to send in the Revolutionary Guard. And it's happening at a time when Iran is already in the spotlight, when its men's national team put up a heck of a fight at the 2022 World Cup. It was watched by over 1 billion people. Where will these protests lead? What are the geopolitical implications for the region and for the West? I'm joined today by Iranian-American journalist and activist Masih Alinejad. Later, we head to the now icy streets of Kiev, Ukraine to see what it's like to hunker down not only against Russia, but against a really tough winter. But first, woman, life, freedom. 3 words that have filled the streets of Tehran and a growing number of Iranian cities all across the country since anti-government protests erupted last September. Those words have unfurled from huge banners in the stands of World Cup stadiums in Qatar, seen on over 1 billion television screens worldwide. And they've captured the rage of a young and especially female generation, fed up with social norms and laws written by old male rulers. This nationwide rallying cry began after a young woman, Masih Alinejad, died after being taken into the custody of Tehran's notorious morality police, accused of violating a law on headscarves. Since then, as women have taken to the street, discarding their headscarves in solidarity, a brutal crackdown by Iran's security forces has resulted in more than 14,000 Iranian civilians arrested, according to the UN, at least 326 people killed, including 43 children. Thousands more are estimated to have been injured, and the Iranian judiciary has already sentenced at least one unnamed rioter to death. Not since 2009 have such widespread and sustained protests challenged Iran's governing authority. Then it was the so-called Green Movement from 13 years ago, erupted over what was widely seen as a fraudulent presidential election. But today's wave seems focused on Iranian security forces, with reports and videos circulating on social media of firebombings at local morality police headquarters. It's worth noting, though, as with the death of Masih Alinejad this fall, the 2009 protests also rallied around the death of a young woman, Neda Aga Sultan, who was shot and killed while she was protesting. It's hard to say where these protests will lead. It's likely the present government will weather the storm, expand the present crackdown with significant violence, and reduce the opposition into smaller and more sporadic challenges. Given the near non-existent international media presence within Iran, it'll be all the easier to snuff out the dispersed dissent. But might the protesters win? And what would winning mean? How will Iran's domestic strife impact geopolitics in the region, not to mention in the West? I'm joined now by Iranian journalist and activist Masih Alinejad to tackle those questions and more. Here's our conversation. Masih, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
Look, I want to get, of course, to everything happening on the ground in Iran. But first, I want to ask you about the World Cup because, of course, extraordinary scenes in Iran that you posted about, Iranians celebrating in Iran.
Can you believe that?
Because they were defeated by the United States. Yes. Okay, explain this to me, please.
I know it's very embarrassing for the Islamic Republic, but it's beautiful, actually. For years and years, the Islamic Republic actually brainwashed us to say death to America. I mean, I myself, I grew up in a tiny village. I was told that I have to shout death to America as loud as the White House could hear us. Now you hear that people in the street were holding the flag of America, celebrating the US victory, because it means that the Islamic Republic is kicked out from World Cup. And it means that the Islamic Republic doesn't have a global platform anymore to normalize its murderous regime. The World Cup, I mean, it was a platform for Iranians if the football players, like showing solidarity with Iranian people. Before coming to World Cup, all of them, they went to the mass murderer Ibrahim Raisi, they bowed to him, they shook his hand. So believe me, the football team doesn't represent Iranians, it does represent the gender apartheid regime. Right now, Iranian people are actually leading one of the historical revolution, led by women, supported by men. And this is the time that many well-known athletes, they're quitting their job. Many well-known actresses, they're quitting their job. So this is the moment that we want to see that football players using global platform, like bravely saying that, holding the pictures of Mahsa, holding the pictures of children getting killed, and going to different media talking about.
And that they did not certainly
They
do.
didn't.
They did not do.
Putin's football team, they got expelled from World Cup. What is different between Putin and Khamenei? You tell me.
Well, I mean, one invaded a sovereign country.
By whose help? Khamenei sending drones to Putin.
True, that is true. But I'm simply saying that there is, on the international stage, having invaded a neighboring country does
Trust me, my brother.
create an action.
Islamic Republic invaded Iran.
Look, I understand that. So I want to leave sports and talk about the situation on the ground in Iran. It's obviously very inspirational, the footage that we've seen of all of these particularly young people, particularly young women, on the streets, very courageous. Also been a lot of repression, also been a lot of brutality, kids killed, people killed. And yet, there's clearly a differential response that we're seeing in different parts of the country. Why has there been as much restraint as there has for a regime that is capable of such brutality?
To be honest, I think that the Islamic Republic knows that if they now kill people, like the more that they kill, the more that people get determined to take back to the street. The more that they kill, the more people get angry to take back to the streets. And the reason that they kill people in the cities of Kurdistan, it's because it doesn't get much media attention. But immediately when people get killed in Tehran, big cities in Isfahan, Shiraz, so people can reach out to national media, and that's why massacre happened in Zahedan. Only in one day, like 70 people got killed. Only in one day, they were praying. They were all shot in their back. Children got killed. So it didn't get that much media attention, you know? So that's the reason. But I have to say that right now, a lot of people believe that if the world, the leaders of democratic country, if they don't take a strong action, they will open fire and the massacre going to happen.
So,
like 2019.
Like 2019. So in terms of the Kurdish region, is the fact that the Iranians are willing to massacre people in the open public, does the rest of the Iranian population have the same level of solidarity for a minority region as they would Tehran, for example?
This is the first time in our history that we see a sense of unity among Kurds, Turks, Baluch, Arabs, and it's very beautiful for the first time that you hear when people get killed in Kurdistan. In Zahedan, people chant that Kurdistan tanha niye, Zahedan pushtivaniye. It's a very touching and emotional slogan saying that Kurdistan, you're not alone. Zahedan is with you. Tehran is with you. This is the first time, and that unity actually scares the regime.
The Supreme Leader has taken a personal interest in you relatively recently after your appearance with my friend Bill Maher. There was a threat that was made directly against an American agent. He was referring to you.
باطن قضیه رو معلوم شد وقتی شما میبینید که عنصر سیاسی آمریکایی این قضایا رو به دیوار برلین تشبیه میکنه.
How did you respond to that?
First of all, I'm not an American agent. I have agency. as a woman who grew up in the Middle East. But if I was an American agent, I had to support the nuclear deal, no? I was against
That
the
just makes you a very sneaky American agent, that all that, you know.
I know, but it's just, look, they call me American agent, the agent of CIA, the agent of MI6, the agent of Mossad. I don't get it. I mean, I don't have time to work for different agents.
But they also threatened you.
Yes, not only me, my family. They put my brother in prison for 2 years to punish me. I was very depressed that time because he didn't do anything, and I was under pressure to stop my work, which is giving voice to these people.
And you're no longer able to live in your home.
Yeah, I'm a village girl, you know, which my father and my mom, they were street peddlers. They were growing vegetables and selling the vegetables to the city, people in the cities. I grew up in that community, so I made my house in Brooklyn like my village. I planted trees after my mother's name, after my brother's name, after my father's name. Now I have to be even away from my garden, from my neighbors. And I'm not scared of my life, but this is very scary that you see in front of the eyes of free world, the Islamic Republic send people here in New York to kill you, to assassinate you, to kidnap you. This is scary. That shouldn't, I mean, I left Iran because I wanted to use my freedom of expression here in America, but it seems that even America is not safe.
So our audience understands. I mean, you have been moved now to, if I understand right, 3 different safe houses by the Americans.
I'm still living in safe houses.
So you won't even tell me where you're living right now.
No, I can't invite you when.
No, that's okay. But
when the Islamic Republic is gone and we are safe, I can invite you to Iran.
Yeah.
Look, Iranian regime now is very desperate. The only thing can make them survive, it's the U.S. government and its allies to get back to the deal.
And yet, you know, everything they've done on the ground to the Iranian people make it almost inconceivable that the Americans would be willing to re-sign.
But they didn't announce it yet. They didn't say that loud and clear that the deal is over.
And they should. And they should, in your perspective. Yeah.
Not only that, they should actually, the U.S. government must call its allies to recall their ambassadors, the leaders of G7.
Because the Americans do not have an ambassador there, of course.
I know. But in my meeting with President Macron, actually I said that, I was angry. I said, why did you shake the hand of Ibrahim Raisi, the butcher of Tehran? He was like, France is all about diplomacy. I said, no.
Yeah, he's the one leader that keeps calling Putin. It's true. I mean, I see it all the time, yeah.
Yeah, but I said France is also about revolution as well. You can be the first country to recognize Iran's new revolution and call your allies, not only just saying that we stand with the people of Iran. We don't want you to stand. We want you actually to sit down and recognize the revolution and meet with the leaders of oppositions. This is the first time in the history that President of France, met with opposition. Why? I mean, even here, why President Biden don't meet with opposition leaders? They only meet with, like, human rights activists and saying that we stand with you. I mean, it makes me angry. I don't want you to stand. Sit down and take actions, because it's unbelievable. This is a progressive revolution. Doesn't matter whether Republican are in power or Democrats. It should be a bipartisan issue, because an Iran without the Islamic Republic can make the whole world a much safer place. It's good for everyone in the region.
But you don't want the Americans necessarily calling actively for regime change, in the sense that when the Iranian government is claiming that it's Saudi Arabia, it's Israel, it's the United States, it's foreign actors that are behind these demonstrations. It's not the Iranian people.
I don't want them to bring regime change for us. We're doing it.
Right.
We're doing it. What I want is very clear. When people are risking their lives and asking for regime change, you cannot patronize them and saying that, oh, this is your culture, or this is internal matter, or we don't want to touch this. By not taking strong action, sending billions of dollars to Revolutionary Guards, by keeping silent, actually, you're taking side, There is a war in Iran, which being imposed on Iranian people by Islamic Republic. Unarmed people getting killed.
Correct.
So when the American government still want to negotiate, still not recognizing this revolution, clearly they're taking side. So I don't want the American government or any Western government bring democracy for us or regime change for us. We, the people of Iran, are doing this, and I want them to recognize this revolution and stop legitimizing one of the most barbaric regimes. Is that too much to ask?
What do you think it takes to actually, domestically, to remove this regime? Are you hopeful? You said it's a marathon, but are you hopeful that this theocracy will actually crumble?
Definitely. Look, the Islamic Republic took everything away from us. Everything, everything. As we were talking, we don't even have a national team because being taken away from us. Everything, our freedom, dignity, but not hope, not hope. Millions of people in Iran believe that the revolution already happened in their heart. They believe that they're gonna win this battle because for years and years, the regime was successful to create fear within the society. We always had the fear inside us. But now this is the Islamic Republic. They are scared of us. They're scared of teenagers. They're scared of schoolgirls. Can you believe that? Like schoolgirls who are being forced to cover themselves. These days, you see that they're leading the revolution by taking off their veils and waving that, burning the headscarf. And that means that, like, they're not going to be slaves anymore. They're not going to obey the mullahs anymore. This is the end for the Islamic Republic. When you see that teenagers are saying death to dictator, teenagers are saying that we don't want a religious dictatorship.
Masih, thanks for your spirit.
Thank you so much. I hope one day I really invite you to Iran.
And now to another region in conflict, Ukraine. The war there began in late winter of this year, February 24th to be exact, and now, 10 months into this brutal conflict, winter approaches again. For more on what that means, here's GZERO's Alex Clement.
Another day in Kyiv. An air raid siren blares, announcing a fresh barrage of Russian missiles headed towards the Ukrainian capital. And within moments, in recent months, the Ukrainian military has liberated tens of thousands of square miles of territory occupied earlier in the war by Russia. But now, the people of Kyiv face perhaps their biggest test yet. Like so many Russian leaders before him, Vladimir Putin is enlisting the help of a reliable Russian ally, Old General Winter. Vladimir Putin is betting that the bitter cold will freeze over Ukraine's fighting spirit. Russian missiles have deliberately targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure, reducing the country's ability to provide heat and power as nighttime temperatures dip into the teens or below. Kyiv authorities are now rationing electricity, and Irina, a 25-year-old translator, says life in the city is getting harder. She moved here from Western Ukraine just before the war started. Now, despite the challenges, she's staying put.
Right now we have electricity outages. We don't have electricity perhaps 3 times per day, at least at my place. So sometimes you can actually track that because there is a schedule, but sometimes you cannot. So with not having electricity also comes not having water. So yeah, this is just such a lifestyle that we follow these days.
Nighttime is when the cold bites hardest. Here, Irina sent us a voice message from the streets of a frigid, blacked-out city.
It's absolutely dead here, nothing, no electricity, no water, no coverage. I feel like I am living in the forest,
But Irina says Kyiv remains undaunted. After all, this is a city that lived through one of the worst battles of World War II, a history that people here still remember.
The vanguard of the Ukrainian armies of liberation entered the burning shell of once magnificent Kiev.
We become very flexible as Ukrainians, as a nation who is having a war. And I wouldn't say this is something very unique for us because we have such a history, that many people goes through such things, and yeah, we are tough.
Vladimir Putin has enlisted a formidable ally in winter, but the resilience of Irina and her fellow Kievans suggests that the Russian president may, yet again, have underestimated his Ukrainian opponents. Perhaps only springtime will tell.
Life goes on as it used to, and if there is no power, no water, we will get through it. This winter, and the way Putin speculates with it, won't decrease, won't lessen our solidarity, it will only make it stronger.
For GZERO World, I'm Alex Clement.
That's our show this week. Come back next week. And if you like what you see, or even if you don't, you can still demonstrate in solidarity by taking a minute to sign up for GZERO's most excellent morning newsletter that's called